heartbreaking one-liners on the back of the ultimate sacrifice, and gut-wrenching silences saying more than words ever could, are just a few examples of MCU characters knowing they were well and truly toast, but going out with a memorable bang all the same. I'm Gareth from WhatCulture.com, and here are the 10 greatest I'm dead and I know it MCU moments. Number 10, the Ancient One, Doctor Strange. Kevin Feige understandably drew a substantial amount of criticism for opting to cast Tilda Swinton in the role of the Ancient One in 2016's Doctor Strange, with many accusing the MCU captain of whitewashing. Yet that controversy still didn't stop the star from bringing one of the single most moving moments in the expanding universe's history to the screen. In the wake of being mortally wounded by Mads Mikkelsen's Caecilius in the aforementioned flick, the Ancient One uses her astral form to take a wander onto a nearby hospital balcony, as her physical vessel is desperately operated on. Doctor Strange soon follows, leading to the stirring reveal that she'd always known this precise moment of death was coming. After giving Strange one last pep talk, noting that he would never realize his potential unless he stopped thinking the world revolved around his massive head, the Ancient One then confessed that she tragically wasn't ready to die, and was using her magical powers to stretch out her final moments. This allowed her to watch the snow fall for one last time, leaving Strange without a mentor and not a dry eye in the house. Number 9, Pietro Maximoff, Avengers Age of Ultron. It has to be said that the MCU rarely misses when it comes to taking a beloved character from the page and pumping it into a live-action blockbuster. Yet that's not to say there hasn't been a few missteps along the way. Sadly, in the wake of a crowd-popping turn from Evan Peters in Fox's X-Men Days of Future Past, Quicksilver's MCU debut ultimately went down like a rather rapid lead balloon. Away from a few cheeky one-liners and a dodgy Eastern European accent, Aaron Taylor-Johnson was widely seen as an afterthought in Age of Ultron. However, he did manage to sign off with one of the biggest swerves the series has offered to date, with it looking as though Jeremy Renner's Hawkeye was being served up for a heroic demise. On the back of some last-minute farmhouse stakes being added to his backstory, Clint Barton picks up an innocent child and prepares to literally take a barrage of Ultron bullets for the young civilian. In the blink of an eye, though, Pietro Maximoff saves the day, throwing himself in the firing line and uttering one last tongue-in-cheek zinger as he accepts his shocking fate. No, we did not see that coming. Number 8, Peter Parker, Avengers Infinity War. Fans around the world were braced for the potential of more than a few casualties by the time the first installment of the double whammy conclusion of the Infinity Saga came to its end in 2018. But few can honestly say they were prepared for the sight of a sweet young Spider-Boy begging his mentor to protect him, as his days among the living seemingly turned to dust at the end of Infinity War. There are definitely arguments to be made for Star-Lord's "oh man" or Doctor Strange's confession that there was no other way, as commendable final moments pre-dusting, but Tom Holland's improvised performance as Peter Parker realizes his time is about to be cut short takes the soul-destroying cake, hugging his iron mentor and blubbering that he simply doesn't want to go. The sight of Parker then attempting to put on a last-ditch brave face for his clearly helpless father figure as he evaporated through Tony's fingers was enough to stun the entire planet into silence. Sure, he swung back onto our screens soon enough, but it took a solid year to get over this friendly neighborhood heartbreak. Number 7, Yondu, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 represented a tough couple of days at the office for Peter's Star-Lord Quill, after finally stumbling upon his long-lost daddy in the form of a maniacal Celestial. It's revealed to the Guardian that his pops had Yondu pick up his various offspring around the galaxy, and wipe them from existence when they failed to control the celestial power he did. Oh, also the little nugget that Ego was the one responsible for killing Quill's mother via brain tumor. Once the inevitable mega battle between the two had ensued, and Ego had had his brains quite literally blown to bits, Quill was then allowed to have something of a heart-to-heart with his surrogate father, for a bit. As Yondu saved Quill from being destroyed in the wreckage, the Centaurian gave up his only spacesuit to his adopted son, slowly freezing over while an inconsolable Peter watched on, witnessing Michael Rooker go through the journey of finally becoming the daddy he'd wanted to be for the lad all along, just as he knew his time was quickly running out. Still makes for one of the MCU's most powerful 2-minute roller coaster rides. Number 6. Natasha Romanoff, Avengers Endgame. A whole year on from witnessing Gamora pay the ultimate price at the hands of her adoptive Mad Titan father on the beautifully eerie planet of Vormir, we still weren't ready to admit that the end of the road was near for one of the OG Avengers. But as Natasha Romanoff and Clint Barton made their way back in time and arrived before the Red Skull in 2014, the penny devastatingly dropped both for viewers in cinemas around the world and the two best bud assassins. Yet instead of backing away from the Soul Stone earning sacrifice, both Avengers decided that they needed to be the one to bite the dust, and a seriously surreal back and forth over the honor of falling to a grisly death soon unfolded. In the end though, it was Black Widow left dangling off the edge of the cliff. It's here when Natasha finally gets her closure after a lifetime of pain and mistakes, seizing the opportunity to save her family as she smiles behind teary eyes and assures Barton it's okay to let her go. One boot off the wall later, it was out of his hands. Number 5. Odin, Thor Ragnarok. Taika Waititi's balmy third entry into a flailing Thor franchise may have possessed more sheer insanity than seemingly every other MCU title to date combined. But that doesn't mean that it didn't come with its fair share of poignant beats amidst the chaos. Coming after Thor has exposed his trickster brother Loki for pretending to be their father on Asgard, the two brothers finally come face to face with their pops on the side of a cliff in Norway. Thankfully, this exchange didn't result in Odin forcing Thor to let him fall to his death. Our hearts can only take so much, you know. A reflective king of Asgard very much knew his time was coming to an end in this moment though, and proceeded to inform his boys that his beloved late wife Frigga was calling to be reunited with him. Hilariously, Odin also took this moment to let his lads know that they had an infinitely more powerful sister they'd never heard of, and that his demise would result in her being free to terrorize the 9 realms. In true Shakespearean fashion, Anthony Hopkins' Odin left the land of the living with a thoughtful bang. Number 4. Thanos, Avengers Endgame. You had to know some serious comeuppance was heading the Mad Titan's way on the back of snapping half of life out of existence in the closing stages of Infinity War. Sure enough, by the time Endgame caused the planet to stand still in 2019, Thanos was treated to not 1 but 2 gloriously cathartic deaths. Yet, due to the fact his first end early into the epic gave him next to no time to prepare for the afterlife, we can only really consider his more understated second demise for this list. But what his dusting at the hands of a triumphant Tony Stark loses in shock factor, it more than makes up for in sheer spectacle, as Thanos' world quite literally crumbles around him and his plans to bring balance to the universe are emphatically thwarted by Earth's mightiest heroes. The compelling force takes a seat and comprehends his defeat. No roars of desperation, no attempts to flee for safety, not even a last word to his better adversary, just the visual of the then biggest threat in the universe coming to terms with the ultimate loss. Number 3. Vision, Avengers Infinity War. Speaking of characters being killed off 2 times in the same movie, again, fans were well aware that not all of the heroes we'd come to adore over the preceding 3 phases were gonna make it out of this one alive. Hell, the fact that Vision quite literally had an Infinity Stone attached to his noggin made him one of the most likely candidates for execution. But did that make his double death any easier to swallow? Hell no. Sensing that Thanos would make his presence known in Wakanda anytime now, Vision begged his love, Wanda Maximoff, to proceed in destroying the Mind Stone. As the former Jarvis gut-wrenchingly put it, it shouldn't be you, but it is. And Wanda is forced to call time on her lover's life. If watching Vision trying to console Wanda as she kills him for the safety of half the universe wasn't hard enough, we're then forced to watch him die all over again as Thanos reverses time and picks the Mind Stone from his skull like a cherry from a bakewell. Luckily, WandaVision later saw the White Vision brought into the fold with old Vision's memories, but that will not erase his double demise from ours. Number 2. Eric Killmonger, Black Panther. Say what you want about the CGI stuff finale of Ryan Coogler's groundbreaking 2018 Black Panther feature, but the outstanding handling of Eric Killmonger's final moments made for an emotional sledgehammer to the soul. After being mortally bested by T'Challa in Wakanda's vibranium mine, Killmonger is given the chance to take in the place his father had often promised to show him one day. It's in this moment that when given the chance to accept T'Challa's offer of medical assistance, the boy from Oakland decides that he'd rather die than be imprisoned. And with this, Killmonger slowly pulls the blade that is keeping him from death's door, allowing himself to to bleed out atop a cliff facing the world he dreamed of seeing his entire life. A moment this powerful quickly washed away the thought of an overly animated battle of the Black Panthers, leaving us only with food for thought and a conclusion fitting such a riveting character. Number 1. Tony Stark, Avengers Endgame. As the literal dust settled on an era-defining conclusion, one man sat on the edge of the great beyond, having finally made the sacrifice play. Moments earlier, it looked like all was lost. Thanos was finally primed to snap those glorious golden fingers once again, but the innovative Iron Man had other ideas. And one piece of Infinity pickpocketing later, Tony Stark had snapped away the big bad, but at a price. Unable to even muster up his usual brand of charm, the quick-witted Avenger had no choice but to drink in his fate. Far from being left to pass on alone though, Stark watches on as his closest pals all join him for a few final exchanges. Parker emotionally celebrates their victory, Rhodey touches his best pal's cheek with the very armor he created, before Pepper Potts greets her man and gives him permission to finally rest up after years of trying to single-handedly save his world from destruction. Honestly, Robert Downey Jr.'s stillness and loaded silence as Tony welcomed his last few glimpses of the people he loved is a thing of heartbreaking beauty to behold, and will likely be an Endgame forever unrivaled. And that's our list of any other great I'm Dead and I Know It MCU moments. Let us know all about them in the comment section right down below, and do not forget to like, share, and click on that subscribe button. Also, be sure to head on over to whatculture.com and find some more incredible articles just like the one this video you're watching today is based on. I've been Gareth from whatculture.com. Thank you very much for clicking on this video today, and I'm sure I'll see you very, very soon. Bye-bye!